witches! I'm back with my chatty, casual vlog style video that I wanted to throw together just to kind of sum up all of the fun fall related things that I've been doing the past couple months. I've been really busy, as I mentioned in my last video, which should be coming out before this one, about why my YouTube posting has kind of slowed down a little bit. So yeah, I just wanted to sit down and just kind of vlog slash journal everything that I've been up to and just get to insert all of the little footage that I've taken here and there, because not only do I want to just share everything that I'm doing and learning with you guys in case it's relevant, fun, or helpful for other people, but this also serves as a little bit of a journal for me to look back on and see everything that I've done, whether it be witchy related or not sometimes. But I feel like, especially for me, living here in Kornheim, where we really do get all four of those seasonal cycles, for the most part, thanks global warming. Fall is finally really here weather-wise. For me, as a pagan, part of my practice is just observing and honoring those seasonal cycles, especially when it comes to fall, because I am a basic fall bitch and I love everything fall and autumn related. I love crunchy leaves. I love all the colors. I love the weather getting cooler and crisper so I can actually tolerate being outside again finally. I love apple cider and all things pumpkin spice. And Halloween and Thanksgiving are probably my two favorite holidays because, I mean, Halloween, yes, has become pretty commercialized, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's an excuse for everyone ages 0 to 99 to get to play dress up for a day and no one looks at you weird for doing it. You get to eat all the candy and celebrate all the spooky shit. What's not to love? So yeah, one of the first things that I did was attended the Fellowship of Northern Traditions Midsummer Gathering. This was a kind of joint gathering between my region, which is like the North Central region, aka Kornheim, and the South Central region, which is a lot of like Texans and people thereabout. So, because I mean, the United States is huge. It's friggin' huge, people. So everyone being able to gather together for a gathering were pretty widely interspersed, especially with, you know, Norse paganism, Northern paganism specifically not being like amongst the super popular flavors of paganism, but that's why we call ourselves Northern Traditions, so that we can be a little bit more eclectic. That was a really fun time. Got to kind of see how other regions schedule and perform their rituals, what kind of rituals they like to do and how they do them, and you know, what kinds of traditions they're already forming, because the more you attend these meetups, the more you kind of not only find your rhythm and find a routine as far as, you know, itinerary goes, but you also will start meeting the same people over and over and really getting to know those people every time you do see them, to the point where now it just kind of feels more like a family reunion of chosen family, which is always nice. And I really love being able to meet with a group of chosen, like-minded people that you know going in are going to be open, welcoming, and tolerant of one another, and where we can all truly be our authentic selves and honor those natural cycles and rhythms, like I said. So even though that gathering was flaming hot, being a little further south as it was in Missouri, we still made the most of it, despite, you know, Thor liking to party crash as always, and there being intermittent storms and rain showers throughout the weekend. I just kind of saw that as an opportunity to welcome and honor him as well. alongside finally getting to live my dream as someone who works more closely with the Vanir deities and hold a big Freyr and Freya midsummer ritual outdoors during the day, because a lot of our rituals do take place more in the evening and at nighttime, because we like to incorporate the fire or ritual fire in some way. So that's just more conducive to it being dark out. But with it being midsummer and me wanting to do some sun worship and honor those deities of, like vitality and life force and greenery, it was nice to, despite the crazy weather, be able to do that finally and come full circle as someone who got into this whole thing because of Freya and do a big group ritual honoring her. After that, we attended a local fall festival here, which I'll insert some footage of intermittently, which, like I said, even though it's not like specifically pagan related, I still find just a fun way to get outdoors, get out of my comfort zone of wanting to be a homebody, and honor those seasonal cycles and celebrate fall and celebrate the harvest. This was a apple and pork themed fall festival because those are the things that are being harvested this time of year. So I feel like there's, can be some undercurrents of paganism in those types of events, because again, whether people realize it or not, they are all gathering together in the same place to honor the harvest and those seasonal cycles and enjoy the fruits of our labor. And then along with that, I just tend to really like heritage festivals and things like that, and just being able to go tour old timey homes and Victorian mansions, because I'm just obsessed with historical stuff like that for some reason, and just learning how people did things before modern technology. So I'm always down for that kind of stuff. But sadly, the fall weather was not present for that one, even though it took place toward like the end of September. It was still flaming hot out, so I didn't stay and enjoy that one quite as long as I may have wanted to, but still glad that we were able to make it out and celebrate some fall locally where we're at when we're able to. And then after that, I only had another week to get ready for the North Central Fall Gathering, which, being a steward for the Fellowship of Northern Traditions, fellowship leaders are the ones who will sit on the board of members for the nonprofit and are more in charge of actually coordinating and planning where we're gonna host these events, and coordinating with Verbos and Airbnbs and whatnot, and sending out emails to people and all that kind of fun stuff. And then a steward like me is more moderating the Discord, but then also serving as backup at the events and getting to help coordinate, plan, and execute rituals, which is really fun, because then I feel like I get to be a little bit more hands-on in the community in terms of being there to support other pagans. I've found it's really important to me as someone who's in my late 30s and been studying pagan religions and folklore for a really long time, even before I started practicing paganism over the last 5 years now already? Holy cow. So I feel like everything is starting to come full circle. I'm starting to feel really strong, secure, and confident in myself and my practice, to the point where now I want to be able to serve as not quite like a mentor for others, but a guiding light, at least, to be able to show others the way, which I know is a big part of my work with Freya and what she wants for me. So it's been really fulfilling to get to help with those types of things, especially at this fall gathering, because I touched on it a little bit in the video on ritual garb and why I chose to wear it, but with that headdress that I made in particular, I wanted to have it for this fall gathering because we are entering that time of transition in the seasonal cycle where we're going from that harvest time and everything being in like the full force of its vitality and like life before we reap everything that we've sown, and Mother Nature kind of starts to go dormant as we dip from fall into winter. So we really wanted to honor that transition in particular and honor that like darker half of the year, by which I not only mean the sun going away and the daylight getting shorter, but it being that time to kind of go hermit mode and really look within and do that inner work on yourself and your practice. So that being said, our main ritual was a hell honoring ritual that I got to plan and organize that I called the Road to Hell. And it's probably the most forethought out, intentional, like planned out ritual that I've personally ever planned and led, because especially like my region, North Central, it's a pretty good even mix of people that work with the Aesir and people that work with the Vanir, and then all of us just work with nature spirits overall. We're pretty like go with the flow. Like I said in that ritual garb video, a surprising a number of us are introverts and also some flavor of neurodivergent, so it's pretty laid back, pretty go with the flow. I call this Team Wing It because normally, like, while we'll try to have an itinerary planned out of rituals that we would like to do, and you know, like who's gonna do them and about what time of day we want to do them, we never really know what we're going into when we get there, depending on like what's the setup, what's the landscape where we're at, how much property do we have and what's on it, how many people are there, and like what's the vibe that we're all feeling as a group in terms of like, yeah, is it going to be laid back sun worship, or is it going to be more intense shadow work, darker deity worship? So we were leaning more toward the latter for this one. I really wanted to make sure that, especially since we had a good mix of people who were like old faces in the old crowd and new people who like had never attended a gathering before, you know, we wanted to make it a little bit more intense than our normal routine, but not throw everyone too much into the deep end. So I almost felt like planning this ritual, I was having everyone go bowling, but with the little gutter bumpers, because like I said, we were doing Road to Hell, and I was fully garbed out in my Seder vulva hermitess gear with that full mask headdress on, and then I had my staff with like a lantern on it because we did this at night. And you know, practicality wise, I wanted to be able to see where I was going and be able to lead other people to the different waypoints where we were doing ritual things. But it was also very much like the hermit card in tarot, the lantern. So yeah, like I said, I really wanted to go like pretty heavy with the energy and the vibes in terms of, yeah, people being fully garbed out, people inhabiting, okay, Odin, as something flies into my eye and prevents me from opening my eye for the rest of this video, because he was the one person that we did not really honor at this gathering. So I'm sure he's a little salty about that, because he also basically got booted out of Midsummer and was not allowed to participate. I mean, I'm sure he could have if he had really wanted to, because it's a fucking god we're talking about here. Sorry, not sorry, but it's not your season, it's not your time of year. I definitely associate Odin as well with the darker half of the year, because he is a psychopomp, among other things. So yeah, I feel like that's just more his domain, and it just wasn't the vibe for that gathering. Like I said, I wanted to do daytime stuff, sun worship stuff, honor stuff. But yeah, now even at this fall gathering, it was me, fellowship leader Dana, and then another steward, Maya. So 3 feminine identifying female people leading a whole bunch of dudes at this gathering, but it ended up being a good balance. One of my goals getting to Norse paganism, especially when it can be so asatru, brosatru, on its face was getting in that balance of feminine energy and honoring divine feminine and honoring like those both in the community and in myth, history, and deity who are the shapeshifters who can like straddle the boundary between both, like hello Loki, get you a god who can do both. So yeah, not only did we do Road to Hell ritual where someone was literally embodying hell and we had to go meet her at the gates of Helheim and do a little bit of like shadow work release ritual. We also did something to honor Skull and Hati, and there are a lot of us who do work with Jotnar or consider themselves like Rokatru, who will work with like those more chaotic sides of even like Norse paganism or like trolldom, whatever label you want to slap on it. So I feel like it's good to kind of step outside and think outside the box sometimes of like, oh, we're gonna do Odin and Thor. You know, nothing against them. I have an Odin altar. So but then on the other hand, the next night we did a first witches ritual where we all picked a witchy or magical themed goddess to honor and or embody, and I picked Golveg and kind of like really had it out and had some strong words for Odin on her behalf. So I was definitely channeling a little bit of my like divine feminine rage there, but I felt like for me being like the rabbit Fylgja, very normally zen, go with the flow, even people pleasy doormat sometimes person that I am, that was a little healthy for me, and I feel like that was good for me to get that out. You know, we all need that release sometimes. I felt like it was a really good mix. I also got to do a little informal Nerthus bloat or Nerthus offering ritual to honor again that like cycle of life, death, and rebirth that I feel like she especially embodies, and that was a good segue into the hell ritual because, as I've often stated, everything is cyclical. As above, so below. As without, so within. So as we honor those natural cycles of the macrocosm and the seasons, it's also important to mirror that within and honor those cycles that we also go through, whether it be life cycles of growth and maturity, or just like even those like mini death and rebirth cycles of ego, personality, career, you know, whatever it may be, even just mood going into this latter half of the year when we do kind of tend to stay indoors, coop ourselves up a little bit more. It just naturally lends itself to turning inward. A lot of times, you know, especially in this hyper-productive society, we tend to try to like stave that off and do whatever we can to avoid that. But, you know, everything in moderation, and I think it's important to honor those cycles even within and make sure you don't like spiral too far down in the doldrums, self-isolate too much. And I definitely cannot cast the first stones there. I think it's still important to honor those things, even those shadow side things that we might look away from and not want to examine. 'Tis the season for shadow work, as I always say. I always mean to take more video at these gatherings, and I really especially wanted to take more video of some of the rituals that we did at that fall gathering, but at the same time, those rituals being so based in like shadow work and like death work and like really putting people through things, it felt very personal. I ended up just not wanting to show a lot of that. Being a lot of what we did this time was at nighttime, so it was going to be hard to see on camera and see. I tend to just want to be in the moment at those things because they're only like max 4 days long, And like I said, once you start going to them frequently, you start getting really close to people, and you want to really spend time with those people and yeah, be in the moment, and not trying to like stage things, stage shots, take B-roll, all that jazz that can come with the game. So yeah, that being said, I will definitely try to craft some more videos focused on the gatherings that I attend going forward, but trying to make it very like mindful of other people's practice and privacy when it comes to that. I hope you enjoyed my rambling, meandering, chit-chatty vlog, but I just really wanted to be able to sit down and document and discuss all the fun stuff that I've actually been up to before I also go full hermit mode and stay indoors all winter because I hate the cold. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, stay classy, pagans.